I had an entirely different intro tonight. And then I turned on All Elite Wrestling Dynamite on a Wednesday night. And now, I'll be honest with y'all. I'm just confused.
Hey.
Welcome in to the Instant Classic Wrestling Podcast, the only podcast that is always, I mean always, he means always, she means always, they mean always, you mean always, an instant classic.
Danny Dog! Hi, Jake.
We will see you on the flippity dippity. Oh yeah.
All right, what's going on, good people? Justin, I know you had something to say. What was it?
I said it's Wednesday. You know what that means.
What's going on, good people? Back at it again. Instant Classic Wrestling Podcast, the only podcast that is always, and I mean always, Justin means always, Casey means always, and now that Adam's here, Adam means always, an instant classic. We talking a little bit everything tonight. First things first. Let's start with the AEW Unification match. Before I start on that, Adam, are you planning on watching it?
Yes, but please spoil it.
Because my question was, if you wanted to wait and hop out and spoil it for the rest of the people who have watched it, and then come back, feel free. If you want to.
I'm at a place where I can't watch it, but please just go ahead. Because I'll see it eventually or hear about it.
Okay. And Casey, you look like you got something to say.
You know what my biggest pet peeve with this podcast is? When DJ can't wait for people to be ready. You jerk.
I mean, he asked if you're ready, and you didn't say anything, so we assumed
that means I'm not ready.
That means you're ready.
You were definitely ready. And also, if I make sure that Casey's not ready, he can't play stupid.
He can't play the intro. Oh wait. Oh no.
Just saying. You can't play stupid things in the middle of things that I'm saying when I'm trying to say the things.
Are you ready?
Nipples.
This man's
horrible. Absolutely horrible. The worst. Hate this man. Have hated this man for how long now? Almost 10 years.
Welcome to the Instant Classic Wrestling Podcast, the only podcast that
had a beard and nipples. Darn you! Okay. Anyway, so let's talk about this match. So basically, I'm excited. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm finally. It's Wednesday night. You know what that means? It's 8:00. Well, it was 9:00 by that time. I was like, let me turn on AEW because I don't watch AEW every week, but every once in a while I try to tune in. So
Let me ask you this before that we get into all this. Has the match already happened?
Yes.
Was it in the first hour?
It was technically in the second hour.
Okay, but either way, so they're still dumb unless it was going to take this entire hour.
See, and that's what I was saying. I was like, okay, it's 9:00, cool beans. Let me see how this is gonna go, right? They give it an hour time limit. I'm like, okay, unification match, you're gonna give it away on free TV. That's weird. But you know what? Screw it, right? Screw it. I don't even care. Give it away on free TV. I don't have to pay for it. Give it away on free TV. All right, you know what? I'm ready. I'm excited. I'm so excited. I'm like, okay, cool, John Moxley, cool, CM Punk, cool, let's go. Unification match, hour time limit. All right, that means they're going to take the whole hour. It's probably going to end in a draw because it's AEW. So I'm like, okay, I'm cool with it. I'm completely fine, right? I know my girlfriend's going to be mad at me because I'm going to stay up and watch AEW. I didn't care. I was like, this is going to be enjoyable. I'm ready. All right, so here's the deal. This is what happened. Here's the breakdown. And I would be quick, but that'd be too easy. So started out, they have the big, stare down introductions, big match introductions. Cool. I'm like, okay, yeah, all right, I'm cool. I'm cool with that. I like Justin Roberts, so I'm doing the introductions with him. And then CM Punk goes for a kick. They do a real,
The
like,
roundhouse kick.
aggressive. They do real aggressive lockup, like really aggressive. Like, okay, this is gonna be a match right here. I'm ready. There's bad blood, all that. The storyline's there. Okay, cool. CM Punk goes for a round kick and like a roundhouse kick, and he starts holding his foot. And I'm like, okay,
I gotta say one thing. Sorry to interrupt you, but okay, so it seems like Punk had on more padding on that, that foot that he uses, for his roundhouse kick, because I think that was the foot that he broke.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. So just clear it up, because I watched the match, but I didn't catch what foot he hit the kick with and what foot he grabbed after the kick. It was the same foot, right?
Yeah, it was the same foot.
The I guess surgically repaired broken foot. It might not have been surgically repaired because every bone you break doesn't have to be surgery. Anyway, so okay, cool. He hit the roundhouse kick. I'm like, okay, injury angle. Duh. He's just coming back from a freaking broken foot. Duh. I'm cool with it. Let Moxley get a little bit of heat. Let Moxley freaking go after this leg and wrench at it, and you're like, okay, I'm feeling for Punk here. Punk's gonna come back. Moxley hits, I think, 2 to 3 paradigm shifts where he like just spikes him on his head or whatever, pins him. It's over. Literally, I don't even know if it's 5 minutes. I don't know if it was like 5 minutes.
It was like a 2-minute match or something like that.
Okay, while you guys carry on, I'm going to go fucking scream.
Me? So, and that was my exact reaction. I'm sick, right? I'm sick. I'm like, okay, you got me excited for this freaking match, right? It's a unification match. That's always fun, right? That's even more reason to give a great match. And then I'm thinking, okay, Punk's done, right? Punk just does not care anymore. He's like, screw it. I'm done with this stupid company. I'm gonna freaking give this title back to stupid old Moxley, and I'm heading out the door. Or is he hurt? I'm confused.
When they put this match on,
back?
When it wasn't the main event, I knew there was something weird with that. Like, I thought maybe they would have done like an angle, maybe someone might get involved, maybe like MJF, he would come back, because we haven't seen MJF for a while. So maybe MJF.
This is why you don't do pay-per-view caliber matches on free fucking TV.
Like, I thought they were gonna maybe like you said, do a time limit draw, or maybe like a fuck finish. But that wasn't the case. It was just a squash. Like, Moxley was looking like Brock Lesnar out here.
I mean, I was quite confused. We weren't even going to talk about this on the show tonight, by the way. I was genuinely confused. I was like, I know I've been hearing this stuff about Punk having backstage heat and possibly wanting to leave. He almost quit last week or whatever. I read what you want to, into that. Feel how you want to feel, if it's true, if it's not. But I'm like, what is there actually real heat? Is he done with AEW? Is this just how AEW wants to book this big match that they tried to promote over a week? I'm so confused. And then on top of that, it's not like it's freaking some kind of ridiculous heel that you just want to see get beat up in 2 seconds. No. It's CM Punk. Literally, more than likely your biggest star right now. The guy who came out of retirement 7 years after he retired to join your company gave your company the biggest boost that they probably had in years. I mean, I don't even think that's even a probably. That's obvious. I'm confused. I'm beyond confused. I'm interested to see what happens next. Like, is this an angle? Is he really hurt? Was he ready to come back? Because, I mean, we talked about that. I don't know if it's last week or the week before, when Punk came back, and we were kind of like, I think it was the week before, because they did the promo thing last week. So we were talking about this a couple weeks ago, like, were they trying to rush Punk back to get like a cool, oh snap, Punk's back, because everybody's talking about WWE because Vince retired and Triple H took over and guys are debuting left and right and coming back and returning and all this. So like,
and now some people are upset that goes like, well, they're being like AEW where it seems like every week we're having a whole bunch of AEW guys, or ex-WWE guys come over. And now it seems like every week with WWE, now we got, everybody returning. And people are shitting on that for some reason. I don't understand.
I'm just beyond confused, and I just think that's just wrestling fans in a nutshell. Wrestling fans want what they want until they have it, and then they don't want it. And not all of them, of course, but those fans in particular. But I'm beyond confused. I'm beyond baffled. Justin, you got a chance to watch the match. What did you think? And then we'll go to Adam and Casey for their thoughts on what I just said.
Like my thoughts on the match were that it was terrible, and maybe like he said, maybe he is injured and stuff, so maybe that's why they made it a short match. But like, why bring him back? I mean, maybe the reason why they brought him back is because their ratings haven't been as good as of late, and that's they're like, hey, let's just put CM Punk back on TV.
Well, he ain't done nothing but cut promos the last 2 weeks. Bring him back, but let him cut promos about how he's going to get his freaking title back and just build on that for a long time. Plus, my other issue is Jon Moxley's not the guy to beat CM Punk. Like, I like Moxley and all, but I mean, Punk is the type of guy who wants to put somebody else over. I don't think Jon Moxley's that guy.
Mm-hmm. And with the whole stuff last week with Punk kind of promo, he cut a promo on he was talking about a lot of guys, talked about Hangman, he was just talking about so many people. It seemed like his typical pie bomb that he cuts. But no, I really wasn't expecting this match to be like a squash match, and like you said, maybe the rumors are true that he's fed up with this company, and people are saying, "Oh no, it was a Vince problem." No, maybe it's a Punk problem, and that's Tony Khan's problem over there.
Or hear me out, dude. Maybe
hear me out, dude.
Maybe it's just a bad booking problem. Maybe he feels like he hasn't been booked competently. Not with Vince, not with Tony.
Hold on. Do you think he could maybe go back to WWE under Triple H?
I don't know if he want to go to WWE.
Yes, he could, but I don't think he will.
Because Triple H has changed. He's probably changed over the years. Ever since when Triple H was doing the whole CEO stuff.
Yeah.
But.
I mean, I'm confused, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. Like, what does this mean? Type feel, especially because we were going to talk about the promo from last week. Where Punk ripped everybody to shreds, and a very good promo. Casey, how are you feeling about the outcome / I guess Punk's future? Because that's probably more so in you guys' wheelhouse. Like, what do you think Punk's gonna do? Like, is this an angle? Is this Tony can't book shows even though he's book of the year past 2 years? Like, what is it?
I mean, for one, I couldn't care less, to be honest. I just don't care. All this drama, I don't care. I don't care if there's heat backstage. I don't care because it's if Punk is fed up with AEW, there's probably a lot of good reasons why he's fed up with AEW. And we've heard these reasons for a long time now. The terrible booking. Tony Khan couldn't book if he owned a library. Like, this dude, it's just, he can't. The wrestlers not listening to people that have been in the business for 40 years when they're telling them to do things or to not do things, I would get fed up too. He definitely won't go back to WWE because it wasn't just Vince. He had issues with Triple H too.
Shoot, he can't even go back to Ring of Honor.
You should have stayed in Ring of Honor.
So I don't know what he does from here. If he is leaving AEW, I don't know. He's probably done with pro wrestling in general.
You can't go back to UFC.
I mean, do you think there's any validity to him being fed up with AEW in any way?
Honestly, I don't know, and I'm not gonna try to I'm not gonna be like the fans who are read something from a dirt sheet and be like, oh, that's true. Because I don't know. I don't know anybody in the AEW locker room. I don't know anybody who works for AEW. I've never been in the AEW locker room, so I don't know. I can't say, and I'm not going to
since you are in locker rooms, your job is to figure out what's true and what's not. Investigative reporter C.R. O'Malley. That's a new gimmick. That's a new
Eddie Kingston.
Sorry, what was that?
That is a new gimmick. It's better than your current gimmick. Yeah, bum.
But yeah, like I really don't care. And let's be honest, AEW fans have been shitting on Punk for weeks now, probably longer than that. Like they're just, I don't want to say ungrateful, but they kind of are. Like they just can't be happy with anything. There's always something wrong, or oh, we need to do this, or they're so entitled, and he might be fed up with that too. I don't know, but I guess I'm just waiting to see what happens, to be honest. As far as the injury angle, I think that's what all it was just an angle, because if there was really an issue, they probably would have stopped the match. Especially with a surgically repaired foot or any surgically repaired injury. If there's a serious issue, they would probably have stopped the match.
I mean, they did have Docs get in the ring and look at his foot, but like.
So I think that's just chalked up to terrible booking.
Okay. Adam, if you're here, what are your initial thoughts on this whole thing?
I don't know. I don't know what in the blue hell is going on. So if this was planned, okay, I get it. You don't want to do that type of a squash on a pay-per-view with either one of them. Doesn't do anything for Punk, doesn't do anything for Moxley. I'm trying to fathom where they're going to this, because I have to reiterate, AEW All Out is in 2 weeks.
Yeah, who's going to be going up against Moxley for a title now?
Because, and DJ, to your point, like, regardless if this was to be the outcome, whatever, though, Mox ain't it. Mox is not it. It's nothing against him, but like, he had to get reestablished. And while we're on that,
and it's in Chicago, right? I'm not sure.
And it's in Chicago. It's in Chicago. So
well, it's not inside. It's not in Chicago. It's like an hour outside of Chicago.
Yeah, but in the general vicinity, near his hometown, he was going to be super over regardless. It'd be Money in the Bank type of reaction. But anyway, but I don't know. I don't know what Tony was thinking. Not to mention that they almost made it seem like that there was going to be a possible tease coming, from tonight. And not even. I mean, I'm literally at a loss for words. Like I have no speech. Casey, go ahead.
The only thing I could think of, and I don't think they're even smart enough to do this, and it would be stupid anyway, because this used to be an old WWE cop-out. If they do something like, Punk surprise comes back for the pay-per-view and invokes his, rematch clause or some shit like that, and wins it back. But that would be stupid itself, because, okay, why did you let him drop it anyway?
It would be stupid. The only thing that would make sense, I think, in that regard, and I'm not even going to say it's necessarily going to make sense, but if they really just lean on this Punk has backstage heat thing, do what you got to do, pay off the dirt sheets, work with the dirt sheets, whatever you want to do, and make it seem like Punk is done, like he's done with this for the next 2 weeks, and then have it be is Punk going to be there? Is Punk not going to be there? Or just have it be Punk's not going to be there and he shows up and challenges for the title or whatever. Now, albeit, can you build to that per se? I don't know. But I mean, I always feel like, use what's at your disposal. If people want to run with this, Punk has backstage heat and he doesn't actually have backstage heat, then I say run with it. If it's easy and right in front of your face, I say take it. But I don't know what they're gonna do. With that being in 2 weeks, and I don't know. I don't know. I really don't. I'm kind of at a loss for words too, because honestly, even still, like, it just makes me think. First things first, what was the point of the match to begin with? If Punk wasn't ready and could have been ready in 2 weeks, why don't you just like, oh, this match is gonna happen? Which, I mean, yes, I get it. It would screw the fans out in Ohio. But this match is gonna happen, and have Punk be attacked or something. I don't know. And just like continue to build it up, or say like this match is gonna happen, but I don't know, have somebody cower their way out. Let Moxley play heel for a little bit and cower his way out of it. I mean, if fans hate CM Punk so freaking much, let Punk play the heel, and he's like, I'm not friggin' defending my title that I never lost in this hokey dokey town until Chicago or whatever, right? Like, run with that. Like, I mean, I'm no booker or booker of the year for that matter, but I'm just saying, like, run with what you got.
You're no booker.
I'm no booger. Anyway, sorry. And I know we were gonna talk about, what was it? Well, CM Punk's backstage heat was I think the first topic that we had, but we already kind of touched on that.
Let's go beyond that. Let's really get to the nuts and bolts of it. Supposedly, this all stems from Colt Cabana. That the guys were all pissy because Colt was basically out of the Dork Order and then just stopped being used. I'm like, okay, I understand there's a history there with Punk and Cabana, but he wasn't being used even beforehand.
Yeah. Well,
and he wasn't even really been used before Punk even got into the company.
Yeah, and my thing is, like, I mean, I like Colt from what I've seen of him. I don't think he's bad by no means, but at the same time, that seems to be a reoccurring thing that happens to Colt everywhere he goes. He tends to get booked in something dumb and then ends up not being booked anymore.
Well, with him, I mean, he does kind of semi-serious stuff. Like he can turn on the jets, if you will, but he's basically, he understood his position. He wasn't going to be a main event or anything like that, but he could have been a necessary component on your card. He can give you a good entertaining match, whether it be a comedy spot or just something where he gets over and blah blah blah. But you took a guy that actually has a little bit of personality. I mean, granted, sometimes his comedy stuff is a lot to be desired, but I do genuinely like Cole. But then you put him in a job group and he became a job guy. All he did was just come out and put the little fake hand up, and that was it. So, like, what does that have to do with any of that? But all of this stems from Punk cut that promo last week because he knew Adam Page wasn't there. But people also tend to forget that at Double or Nothing before that pay-per-view, Hangman cut this weird promo on Punk, like with some malice. Like where's this coming from? And even Punk had a look of, homie, I don't know what you're mad about, but like, okay. And then Hangman does, as read my thumbnail heel, hangnail Adam Page, the butterfly jean wearing sack of snake feces, gets all, butthurt that Punk is just like, even in the existence of AEW. and says that, like, we got this revolution, this movement. I don't think we need advice from the vets. Yes, you do. Yes, you fucking do. I tried to give Adam Page like the benefit of the doubt because he had been booked atrociously the last year and a half. Like we thought that he would be the guy starting off to possibly be the AEW champion. That didn't happen. And then they did, and he was the most feckless champion there was in that company. Not his fault. It was just how he was booked.
Mhm.
You thought that people were going to get behind him, the quote cowboy shit. It became boring shit is what it was.
Yeah.
So
and it's not really. I don't think it's really on Hangman. I think it's more on the booking part, because like
it's a combination of both. He is like that Hangman's statement there. It's not just him, but that is an example of what Jim Ross has been talking about. Is that guys are genuinely trying to help them, but they have the mentality of, oh, you're out of touch, just from the slightest bit of criticism, and all it is like, okay, I see what you were doing here, but why not do this? It's like, oh, we just need to go back and do 18-minute headlocks. No, we just want things to make sense, guys. And now you see why JR doesn't really put anybody over. You can almost hear his eye roll.
And apparently Eddie Kingston, he's pissed with Punk also. He ever since, when they were back in Ring of Honor stuff, he's been calling him a dick ever since.
Yeah, well, and apparently, Eddie doesn't like, there's some heat with him and Claudio too. I don't know, but hey,
Eddie Kingston, he tells the truth no matter what. He doesn't.
Yeah, but I'd rather him be a guy like that to be authentic. There's a little bit of legitimacy behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I think too, like it might be, AEW getting a little too big for their britches, for a lack of a better term, because this company comes out of nowhere as the number two wrestling company in the world, right? Doing pretty decent ratings, getting a TV deal out of nowhere.
Is this Casey?
That's why I said number two. But like
that was a good joke. I liked it.
That's the thing though. Like when you become the quote unquote number two wrestling company in the world, and then out of nowhere, you didn't have to touch WWE soil, so now you got a little bit of a chip on your shoulder in a way. You're like, we didn't have to worry about those guys over there. You know what I mean? Like I think it could be a little bit of like ego, and I ain't talking about all ego. Like it could be a little bit of ego though. Like it could be a little bit like, hey, we've done this without those guys or whatever. So then anytime somebody from over there or whatever gives us any sort of advice, I don't know if I'm going to listen. Now, am I saying that's right? No, not necessarily. But I think at the same time, it's tough too, because like even going back to like Kenny's promo, which Kenny's a weird promo. Kenny's a weird promo to begin with.
By
it was very
God,
strange.
Omega.
It was very strange, but I don't necessarily mind Kenny being upset about criticism. Now it's tough. You're in the limelight, right? You're on every single week, a couple times a week, on pay-per-view, whatever, right? You're hopefully, right, drawing in these fans that haven't watched wrestling in a while. So you're going to get a little bit more criticism because of that. You're going to get a little bit more criticism because of the changes that you've tried to implement that you thought were for the better, that maybe weren't for the better. But at the same time, I don't know. I struggle with it because I don't mind the criticism of a guy like Kenny, of the Young Bucks, of any of the AEW stuff. I was about as anti-AEW as anybody could be when they first started. But at the same time, I'm not mad at people for clapping back if they feel like it's unwarranted. Now, is it warranted? It probably is.
Well, and look, I'm going to quote FTR. Well, actually, particularly Dax. When guys in the back, like the producers, whether it's a Malenko, Jerry Lynn, DDP, whomever, that gives criticism, and even anybody that's outside of the company, but people that have been in the business, say what Booker T, Jim Cornette, Jim Ross, Jerry Lawler, like whoever it is, if they say anything, they've earned that right for the criticism. They've earned that right because they've done it. They've been involved. They were knee deep in it. They've earned that right. But you can't take it. This is what I still go back to this. Criticism does not fully equate they're out of touch. It's just you can't take that at face value. Now, depending on what the sentiment is, that's a different story. If it's just like a Russo that just pulls shit out of his ass and people think that they're going to listen to him. But if Jim Ross is telling me something, I'm probably going to listen. Like when he tells guys, hey, when you guys do that spot on the floor and you all just crumble up like quail and just wait for somebody to dive, guess what? That's stupid. That is stupid. So why not do that? Why not do that? So I just, when it comes to, like, whenever it comes to, shut up. Whenever it comes to the criticism of Punk, I like the fact that we actually have a guy that understands his worth. Hey, I'm your biggest star. I'm here to make money. I'm here to do business, but I am legit your star that can put us even further up on the map. But people don't want to take that. And I like now, again, there's all these retrospectives that they're trying to go back, like the Triple H promo on SmackDown a handful of years ago and whatnot. And now all of a sudden his work rate isn't that great. Shut up. He's been, even in his 7-year absence, he was still relevant in people's minds. Like if it was a show that people weren't really caring about, guess what? They chant CM Punk. Kind of arbitrarily, but
and
like
then
nonetheless.
WWE always had to take shots at CM Punk every chance they get. Especially Stephanie.
Of course. But again, try being fired on your wedding day. So
yeah, that's true. I will say this too, like, and I don't necessarily mind if, and I think this is where AEW has to be a little bit careful because you don't want to necessarily rub people the wrong way. Especially those who have been good to the business. But I don't necessarily mind you calling out anybody in response to get a response from the audience. Because
isn't that what you're supposed to do?
Yeah, because that's the thing. Like, even with Kenny's like promo, as bad as it was, because Kenny can't cut a promo, and I like Kenny.
Come on. Wait a minute. Well, stop the presses. You mean that when he referred to the audience as a house cat? You mean to tell me he can't cut a promo?
Wait. Are we talking about the same guy who doesn't understand the need for basic wrestling training and psychology? That guy?
Casey,
guy can't cut a promo?
This man said, I like to, and again, in his phone sex voice, I like to compare all of you to a nice little house kitty cat that pees and poops all over the carpet. I sure may be mad when they do it at the time, and I sure may be mad if I got to clean it up. But how can I be mad at a little kitty cat? He said this to a room full of people. He said this.
I heard it. I heard the audio.
No, well, not only that, this is my favorite part was the Bucks. Or specifically Pie Face, Matt Jackson, that was like, you guys better not be cheering us. You booed us for a year because you were a heel. You were a heel, you gum bumping sack of snake feces. Were you expecting them to cheer? They are the whiniest little twats on that roster and in life. Camp Cucamonga.
And I think too, like and this is just like me analyzing as I go through the years of what I've watched of Kenny, what I've watched of Matt Jackson and Nick Jackson, the Bucks and whatnot. Like
Generation Me.
Have they really even ever been like face or heel, right? Like PWG, for all it was worth, was there really faces and heels in PWG? You know, every time I watched anything of PWG, I felt like I was cheering for everybody or booing everybody. I wasn't necessarily picking a side.
Yeah, they were all just wrestlers.
So and that's the thing. Like, I'm like, you know, really, realistically, have they even learned like any of that stuff? Just because of where they've been throughout the years. Then you go to a company where I mean, the higher ups, at least with Tony and whatnot, who's calling the shots, does he really know that stuff, right? Is he really taking that advice? Is it almost like, you know, like father, like son in a way? Like, you know, Tony's not saying anything. Well, we're EVPs and we know everything, so here we go. But I don't know. It's the promo was weird. Like I said, I don't necessarily mind if you want to turn that into a thing to get like the crowd on your side or whatever. That's
but then
fine.
He still try to, he still try to be a heel. Yeah. Hey, but don't get it confused. I'm not a good guy. I may cheat to win a match. Yeah. But we come out here every night, and that's another thing I'm sick and tired of because this is happening too much. You don't have to have a guy come out on the mic when the cameras are off and give this rah-rah speech that nobody asked for.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're going to continue to pull out thumbtacks and Legos and table spots when we should be saving them for a pay-per-view match. We're going to continue to have blow-off matches to be the start of a feud. We're going to continue that. We're still going to have nonsensical booking. We're still going to have Daniel Garcia go 30 minutes with Daniel Bryan Danielson, whatever you want to call it. That does not make a star. That is overexposing somebody.
And then two, you're overexposing them in one night. I didn't see Daniel Garcia tonight.
Actually, he was in this. Shocker. He was in the start of the show.
Was he?
Basically,
I
he basically turned on Jericho because Jericho, interrupted, last week, after the match.
The embarrassment of the company.
And Daniel Garcia was basically saying, "Hey, I was in the ring with my idol. I was," and he goes like, "You ruined that for me." And then, people were saying, "You're a wrestler," or something like that. They were chanting something like that.
Y2 COVID. Y2 COVID.
And then people were saying, and then Jericho was going like, "Hey, say that you're an entertainer," and then and then Bryan Danielson saying, "Hey, say that you're a wrestler." Like back and forth. It was different. So it looks like
and two, speaking
your
of
description just made that sound so boring.
Speaking of overexposure and doing things, John Cena throwing the steel steps outside over the top rope because he can every match.
Or the Usos barely getting over the top rope.
I would rather watch either of those than 90% of AEW.
So it goes like, and this is like my final point on everything with AEW. I'm cool with you calling out WWE, but must you do it every week? The Ravens don't come out and call the Steelers out every single week because that doesn't make any sense. There's other needs within the organization that don't focus on the Steelers each week. Why is AEW constantly calling out WWE in hopes of getting a pop? It's cool the first time you do it, but the 1,000th time you've done it, in one night, is not as cool as you thought it was going to be.
Like you get no reaction. It's like, okay, yeah, whatever.
Even for me, like I'm like, okay, that's cool and all, but why are you doing this every week? Book your own darn show. You want to be so different from WWE, but you keep WWE in our minds at all times because you have to call them out. Don't get it.
Same thing when they say that about Cornette. He goes, he's irrelevant. You keep him relevant when you keep mentioning him. And to go back to Kenny's promo real quick, we're not a parody. We're not. Wait, you're not a parody. So you're doing the too sweet and doing the crotch chop like DX. Yeah, definitely not a parody of past wrestling gimmicks.
Your entire faction was a parody, literally, and you admitted it. But my problem is, and unfortunately, a lot of fans don't realize this because they either don't watch Dark or they don't look into like the talent on AEW Dark. Which again, I wish people would actually Google people that they watch. It's not that hard, or YouTube, whatever. But half of the talent on AEW Dark, especially the guys that they bring in, are as good, if not better, than like 50% of the AEW roster. I would rather watch AEW Dark or Dark Elevation or Evolution or whatever the hell it is than
Elevation.
Dynamite.
Evolution is a mystery.
Because they have they have so much better talent there. And I'm like, use these guys. Like, sign these guys. Never mind, don't do that because then you'll book them like shit.
All right. Any final thoughts? Anyone? Everyone? Final thoughts on anything? Okay.
Booker of the year, my ass.
Kenny and the Bucks are not the draw that their fans think they are.
No, and Kenny, I beg of you, please continue to wear that long sleeve with the fake muscles embedded into it.
All right. As always, you can watch us on YouTube, sometimes Facebook. Well, for right now, Facebook. And also you can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, and there's a couple other platforms that I don't even know of. But
Are
if
you
Google
ready?
This is shit. This is
Nipples?
dog shit. No, this is terrible.
You know what? Instead of, I think
Are
I'd
you
rather.
ready?
I'd rather watch Kenny Omega listen to Super Nipples.
This is crap.
Why?
You ruined it, so I had to replay it again.
We were already. What the?
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree with this guy. Wait, I thought we were off air.
I don't even know. No, we're not off air yet. I don't even know. Okay, I'm still
Hey, yo,
confused.
DJ, what's that say? What's that say?
What's up?
Que pasa?
Until
Oh, whoops.
next time.
Are you ready?